New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring. And hello again, dear ones. Dr. Robert with you here on a Saturday morning. It's 9 a.m. on the Mountain Time Zone, and that means it's time for our Saturday morning Science of Mind and Spirit Conversation Series. Very, very long name for this program. However, it also is our opportunity each week to take a real deep dive into what we're doing or how we study the science of mind. So if this is your first time with us, please know that we get together every Saturday morning. There it is. There's what I'm trying to fix. There we go. Thank you very much. So we get together and we study the Science of Mind textbook, just like the image, the video said. And big, huge thank you to Reverend Victoria Bomberry. I just love, truthfully, the flexibility of this team. We have such a great team here, and the flexibility and the camaraderie and how we work together is amazing. So last week we had a scheduling and technical difficulty type thing, and we had to run a rebroadcast of last week's topic, which is chapter 7 in the book, the summary of part 1, the nature of being. And Reverend Victoria was scheduled to be here today. However, I ran a rerun of her for last week because she did last week's talk last year. So this week you get me, and the way we create our schedule is this is one of those things where chapter 7 we look at twice, and we look at it the first time from exactly what it is, the summary of the nature of being, and then we look at it again from a perspective of how we are casting a vision through the work that Dr. Holmes does. So, good morning, Shay. Good to see you, dear one. Grateful that you're with us. So this week we're looking at pages 129 through 134. It's a very, very short section, but it is packed full because it was originally written as a summary. And please feel free if you have questions. If you're watching on live or at any time, you're welcome to share your questions. Put them in the chat box, and we will we'll do our best to make sure that we answer them as we go. So, okay. So I want to go through this and dig in. If you've got a copy of the Science of Mind with you, it's always good to pick that out of the shelf and read along with us as we go. And again, remember, feel free to drop some chats in there as we go as well. And this is also one of those chapters, by the way, as I was reading through last night and this morning. Lots of gender specific language. And it was it was the nature of the day. It was how things were done to look at humanity from a male perspective and to share the male perspective when we're talking about all of life, all of humanity. And so I'll do my best to change some of these as we go, and some of them might stay gendered the way they are, depending on how my eyes catch the words as we read them, to be honest. So let's dig in. Page 129, the very top. There is a universal presence that acts as though it, capital I, it, so we know he's talking about God. There is a universal presence that acts as though it were intelligent, and we may assume that it is. There is a universal intelligence acting as law. We may also assume this is to be true. There is a formless stuff in the universe, forever taking form and forever changing its form, and this we may accept as being self-evident. So there is a presence, there is an intelligence, and there is the formless stuff. More often than not, you will hear me refer to this as the power of the presence and the intelligence. A universal presence that is intelligent and is aware of that. A universal intelligence, presence that is intelligent, an intelligence that acts as law, and the formless stuff, well, it just is. We have every reason to postulate a threefold nature of the universal being, which we shall call spirit, soul, and body. We shall think of spirit as the great actor, soul as the medium of its action, and body the result of its action. We shall think of spirit as the only conscious actor, the power that knows itself. We shall think of soul as a blind force obeying the will of spirit, and we shall think of the body as the effective spirit, working through law to produce form. Or we can also say working through the soul there, right? To produce form. We shall assume that neither law nor the stuff from which form comes has conscious intelligence. So the stuff does not have conscious intelligence, and the law does not have a conscious intelligence, which means neither the law nor the stuff that is created can change what is being created. The law can only act. The law is not conscious of what it is doing, other than it is just acting. Nor the stuff from okay, so let's start from the top of that sentence. We shall assume that neither law nor the stuff from which form comes has conscious intelligence, but we must, because of their nature, be formed by the word. So the law and the stuff is formed by the word, our word, the spirit word. This simplifies the whole matter and enables us to see that in the entire universe, one power alone really acts, the power of the word of spirit, God, or the universal conscious intelligence. Okay, so the only real thing that's happening only acts, the entire universe, one power, the everything really acts, the power of the word of spirit, God, or universal, however we want to call it. One power alone acts. It's the power of the oneness. And it's important for us to understand that while we are conduits and activities of the oneness, we are not the oneness. The oneness includes the everything. Let's keep continuing. On the very bottom of 129, the evolution of humanity brings us arbitrarily to a place where true individuality functions. So our experience of life, our evolution of humanity, from the very first experience of humanity to the current experiences of humanity, is a place where individuality functions, true individuality functions. We may be similar, but we are not the same. Oneness does not mean sameness. When we wake to that, from that day, a further evolution must be through our conscious cooperation with capital R reality, which means God. So we get to a point where we understand that I am me and you are you, and all is perfect, and we're all part of the one. And from there, the only way forward is my conscious cooperation with reality. All nature waits on humans' recognition of and cooperation with her laws. I do like that he uses the female gender for nature. So 128 to 129, all nature waits on humanity's, on an individual's recognition and cooperation with her laws, and is always ready to obey humanity's, our will, the individual will. But the human must use nature's forces in accordance with her laws and in cooperation with her purpose, which is goodness, truth, and beauty, if human wishes to attain self-mastery. So we learn how this stuff works. We learn how to use this stuff and how to work these principles. And once we do, it's up to us if we use them in accordance with the laws and in cooperation with the divine purpose, which is goodness, truth, and beauty. We can use these things towards other ideas, but we're not using it fully. We're not at our highest and best if we're not in accordance with goodness, truth, and beauty. Human never creates. We discover and use. This is paragraph 2. Through the method of all sciences, through this method, all sciences are evolved. We live in a universe of law through which runs a spirit of self-knowing intelligence. All is love, yet all is law, right? And that is Robert Browning's words, all is love, yet all is law. The law has done all it can do automatically for the human. It has evolved him or her to a point of individuality and must now let them alone to discover the secrets of life for themselves. Human is potentially perfect, but free will and free choice cause us to appear imperfect. Big thumbs up or a yes in the chat box if you're following along, if you're with me. Human is potentially perfect, but free will and self-choice cause us to appear imperfect. In reality, all we can destroy is some particular embodiment of ourselves. The divine spark is always intact in potential human. We must awake to self-consciousness, finding ourselves already equipped with a mentality, a body, and an environment. Gradually, we discover one law of nature after another until we conquer our environment through the knowledge of the nature of those laws. Think gravity, electricity. You with me? Everywhere we find that nature does our bidding, insofar as we understand her laws and use them along the lines of their inherent being. We must first obey nature, and she will then obey us. Over time, for me, I have come to that realization for myself, and I've witnessed it in so many others, and I trust that for many of you watching, you have as well, and for some you may still be getting to this point, but that's okay. We come to a recognition where the law I the law has done everything it's possible on my behalf. And if that's true for me, then that can't be true for just me. That has to be true for all of us. That has to be true for everyone. But not everyone is using or understands all of this stuff. Not everyone has studied this. And even some who have studied it, I know that I'm constantly learning new things about the New Thought philosophy, not just through the science of mind, but through study of other writers and other philosophers and others that have brought forth various pieces and parts of this whole mosaic puzzle that we call life. So the law has done all that it can automatically for me. It has evolved me to a point of individuality, and now I must be left alone to discover the secrets of life. I want you to remember this isn't on an individual level, because the law just says yes. The law, as we as Holmes wrote earlier, does not have that cosmic intelligence to say, Robert, you're doing good work and I'm going to say yes to you. But this other person over here isn't so much, and I'm going to say no to them. The law does not have the conscious intelligence to make a decision whether your idea, your project, your vision is a good and valid one. That's up to you. The law says yes. So it gives us that free will and self-choice that is the key to it all. And am I choosing to create more good in the world, or am I choosing to just try to get more for me in the world? Am I choosing to bring forward the love and the light and the beauty, or am I choosing to try to hoard it all for myself, as it were? In reality, all we can destroy is some particular embodiment of ourselves. The divine spark is always available. It's always there. Long ago, I heard a dear friend describe it this way: no matter how far you may have traveled down a wrong road, it's never too late to turn and take a new course and chart a new course and blaze a new trail and move in a new direction. You don't have to go all the way back to where you were 5 years ago or 10 years ago. You don't have to go all the way back to all the way back to elementary school or high school just to get started again. You can start right where you are. Just choose a new path. The bottom of the page. The human discovers their ability to think, and that realizes from within there comes a reaction to their thought. We can think consciously, and mental law acts upon our thought, and our physical body is affected by our thinking. We next discover that we can think for others, causing a corresponding action in and through their bodies. In this way, we discover a mental medium through which thought operates. We now realize ourselves to be a thinking center in the universal mind, not in partnership with the divine. It is not me and the divine in partnership. It is that I am part of the divine. I'm a vital, and so are you. We are each all active and vital aspects. Next, we discover our affairs are primarily a thing of thought, and that being able to think for others, we can also aid in the control of their affairs. We now realize that everything in the visible world is an effect, that back of all effects are ideas, which are the real cause, capital C cause, of these effects. Did you get it? Everything in the visible world is an effect. And back of this effect is an idea, T-mug, which are the real causes of this. The idea of a mug to hold liquid that keeps it warm and you can put images and stuff on it is an idea that can only be fulfilled in the effect, but the effect are the real cause of the idea. The divine ideas are perfect, but humans' freedom of individuality causes them to appear imperfect. Notice it didn't say causes them to be imperfect. The divine ideas are perfect, but humans' freedom of individuality causes them to appear imperfect. Through right thinking, we are able to uncover the appearance of imperfection and reveal the perfect idea. Behold, though, my face forevermore. That's a little bit of Bible thrown in there just for effect. Through right thinking, we are able to uncover the appearance of imperfection and reveal the perfect ideal. The appearances of imperfection is that this mug has a hole in it. How can you use it if it's got a hole in it? Oh, wait a minute. Right thinking, turning it right side up. I don't want to turn it upside down. There's actually liquid in it. We're able to uncover the appearance of imperfection and reveal the perfect idea. The idea of a mug that holds warm water. Man's idea, human's idea of deity evolves from our other ideas. After a belief in many gods, we come to realize there is one mind and one spirit back of all manifestation, one spirit or one self-conscious life acting through the medium of one mind or subjective law produces many manifestations. Multiplicity comes from unity without breaking up the unity of the whole. Always remember that. Multiplicity, the uniqueness, the divine, because I have more than one type of cup or liquid container. Multiplicity comes from the unity without breaking up the unity of the whole. So, and this is the basis that me having what is necessary in my life in no way lessens the amount of good that's available for others. You having the amount of money or more money in your life in no way lessens the amount of money that's available for everyone, for others. We live in a limitless universe. So multiplicity comes from unity without breaking up the unity. I don't have this one marked in my book. I think we need to put a little note in here for this one for the future. Spirit is self-knowing, but law is automatic and obeys the will of spirit, having no alternative other than to obey. Like all law, the law of mind is an impersonal force, and because of its nature, it is compelled to act. We've talked about this already this morning. Soul and universal subjective mind have the same meaning and are the creative medium of all thought and action. Soul is also the substance of spirit, the unformed stuff from which all forms are evolved. We've talked about this a bit already this morning, and I don't want to get too bogged down in the reiterations that Holmes likes to use, because he's repeating himself through these sections to help us see again. Spirit acting upon soul produces creation. Seed, soil, plant. Spirit acting upon soul produces creation. Spirit, soul, and substance intersphere each other, each being omnipresent. Creation takes place within spirit and is a result of the contemplation of the self-knowingness of spirit. Creation is eternally going on. Change is always taking place within that which is changeless, Forms appear and disappear in a medium which of itself is formless. So this is that perfect time of the day where we turn to our teaching symbol. So again, the top third is spirit, the middle third is soul, the bottom third is form. The V itself is the idea, is the creative idea. It starts in spirit, it moves through our soul, through our personal filters, and creates a form. However, what Holmes is sharing with us here and what we want to remember is the V goes back up. It's not really V, it's just a thought. But the thought moves back up then. Once we've created form down in that bottom third, the thought moves back into the law, the soul, that place, and reinforms our understanding of the wholeness, the oneness of spirit up here in the top third. And that's why they're in the original version of all this, and sometimes it gets lost because of graphic design. The top of the where it begins is a little higher up in spirit, and where the thought reforms, it's not reforming spirit because you can't, it's reforming our knowledge of it. Often in our textbooks, in all of our textbooks, near the back, there is a place where we look at these charts, these metaphysical charts a little bit deeper. And I want to see if it's, and one of the way it isn't represented here. I've seen images. If we layer this chart, and Holmes is talking about it here, that we can, the form in the divine is the spirit in man, in human. But we'll come back to that another time. Spirit acting upon soul produces creation. Spirit, soul, and substance intersphere each other, each being omnipresent. Creation takes place within spirit and is the result of the contemplation or the self-knowingness of spirit. Creation is eternally going on. Change is always taking place within that which is changeless. So that top third, that spirit that is changeless, that is everything, that cannot be, and yet our awareness of it is constantly changing. And it's changing because of the experiences and the forms that we've just had. Forms appear and disappear in a medium which of itself is formless. Spirit thinks or knows within itself, and as a result of this interaction, creation manifests. Creation is the play of life upon itself through divine self-imagination. Spirit must create in order to be expressed. Spirit, life, soul, substance, law, and unity are all coexistent and co-eternal with each other. The only thing that changes is the form. Gets pretty heady in this section. Gets pretty heavy. But that's okay, because as I've shared before, deep knowledge comes with moving through this material again and again and again over time, because every time we find a little something different. So I want to jump to the bottom of page 132. We're going to skip most of page 132 and jump to the very bottom of 132, because 133 is filled, and we're moving into, so the rest of 132 is kind of that redefining and moving over material that we've not only covered, but this is that repetitive learning aspect that Holmes uses. And we could read through it. It talks about conscious mind, subconscious, the body, the spirit, the soul, all the stuff we've just talked about. So I want to jump to the bottom of the page. There is but one mind in the universe, and we and individuals use it. Man, I'm going to use that term this time. Man is an identity in the universe. And we could say human, we can say woman, we can say man. It's not about gender at this point. It's about the physicality of our expression, regardless of our own definition of gender and how we see ourselves. So there is but one mind in the universe, and we use it. Our identity, we are an identity in the universe, a center of God consciousness. You are a center of God consciousness. At first, we are ignorant of this and misuse our power. If there's anybody in the room that didn't do something when they were a teenager that they regret, well, yeah, I don't think that happens. We all make mistakes. We all misuse the power. We all learn from our lived experiences of misusing the power and of using the power rightly. At first, we are ignorant of this and misuse our power, consequently bringing on ourselves misfortune and negation. The spirit of human, which is our self-knowingness, is the only part of us which is volition or self-choice. All else acts as automatic law. So we don't have to think about breathing. We do, but the rest of this, we have volition, self-choice, that free will. Our conscious thought, acting through law, may change any condition in our experience, provided we can clearly see or conceive of such conditions being changed. This is so fundamental to all of it, right? We have to be able to act through love to change the conditions of our experience. And we have to believe that those conditions are changeable. I hear people all the time, well, this is just the way it is. Nope. Not just the way it is, the way it is because you say so. But you have the ability to change the conditions of your life experience through the power of the word. But you have to believe that the conditions are changeable. Well, you can't buy a car without a loan. Yes, you can. Well, you can't buy a house without a car. Yes, you can. Or without a loan. Yes, you can. Right? We can. I don't always know how it's going to happen, and I'm not always the best at demonstrating those things, but we call it miracles. I want you to call it life. Our conscious thought, acting through law, may change any condition in our experience, provided we can clearly conceive of such conditions being changed. There's no limit to the law. Limitation is not inherent in the law, but is the result of one's inability to embody the capital T truth and constructively use the law. The limitation is sitting and every day telling ourselves that it can't happen. It's not going to happen. Today's not the day. I'm not ready. It's not good enough. I don't know what I'm doing. I need more of this. Get rid of it all. We have at our disposal. Well, we have to remember, so we have to constructively use the law. For New Thought, that's predominantly affirmative prayer treatment. Limitation is not inherent in the law. There is no limit to the law. Limitation is not inherent in the law, but it is a result of one's inability to embody the truth and constructively use the law. We have at our disposal, in what we call our subjective mind, a power that is limitless. This is because we are one with the whole on the subjective side of life. There is but one mind and one law, which all people use, consciously or unconsciously, constructively or destructively. One spirit, one mind, one law, one substance. but many, many forms. There is one ultimate reality, but within this one are many experiences. We are within the one and draw from it all of our experience. And as we've been talking about, we have the ability to change those experiences. As one thinks, they subjectify thought and sets law in motion through the medium of the universal mind. Here's where it gets really important. This law works automatically until it is consciously changed. To learn how to think is to learn how to live, for our thoughts go into a medium that is infinite in its ability to be and to do. We are using a power which is infinite, as compared with the power of our conscious thought. I don't have a conscious thought of how quantum computing actually works. I know there are that do, and because of that, quantum computing is real. Is not a creation. It is a discovery. It's always been there. The possibility has always been available, and it took this long for humanity to use its mind to come to a discovery of that. Great as the subconscious is, its tendency is set in motion by the conscious thought. I can or I can't. I am or I'm not. Good enough, not good enough. This will work, this won't work. I can't see it, I'm trying to see it. Great as the subconscious is, its tendency is set in motion by the conscious thought, and in this lies the possibility and the pathway to freedom. Freedom and bondage, sickness and health, poverty and riches, heaven and hell, good and bad, big and little, happiness and misery, peace and confusion, faith and fear are all conditions which appear to be opposites, yet are really a result of the operation of opposing powers, but are the way that the one power is used. This is another really important part in it all. There are no opposites. We cannot think in those terms of heaven and hell, good and bad, richer, poorer, smart and stupid. We cannot do that. All conditions which appear to be opposites, not are, but appear to be, all conditions which appear to be opposites are not really a result of the operation of opposing powers. There are no two. This is just how the one power is being used. We don't have to believe it. We don't have to buy into it. We are bound because we are first free, and the power which binds us is the only thing in the universe that can free us. Let's do that one again. We are bound because we are first free. We are bound by our own freedom, our own self-choice. And the power which binds us is the only thing in the universe that can free us. Our recognition of this power, how we use the power to change our thinking. Humanity already has within themselves the key to freedom, but we must come to realize our relationship to the whole, and this relationship is one of complete unity. We have some time for questions if you have it. We must, and this is that vision. As humans, as individuals, as part of New Thought, or not, as part of Centers for Spiritual Living, or not, as part of this thing called life. Can't do the or not there. As part of this thing called life, what are you going to contribute? Yeah, I see a vision where more and more and more people are living according to these principles every day. I have a vision where more and more people are living in community and living these principles every day as a way of life. I have a vision of intentional communities all across the planet where people are living in accordance with these universal principles for how we can create miracles, how we can live the miracle, rather than living in a world of lack and limitation where the prevailing consciousness, the collective consciousness of humanity, is one of division and separation. We can move beyond that. It is written, and not just here, but it's written in so many great places and great books and great authors and great thinkers, that has come to this realization that is, I change my thinking, I can change my life. It has to start with the thinking, because if I'm not thinking it's possible, if I'm thinking I'm not good enough, or if I'm thinking I can't, or I don't know how, there we have all just in that thought created a limitation for ourselves. Now, it's okay to say, I need more clarity on how to make that happen, or I need some support or direction on how to change my thinking. That's what practitioners are there for. That's what ministers are here for. That's what all kinds of people are here for, to work with us to change those limitations, those limiting thoughts, those places that say I can't. It truly is as simple as Ernest Holmes wrote: change your thinking, change your life. It isn't a light switch, because if I think to myself, today is a fabulous day, but somebody's going to come along and screw it up eventually, guess which thought wins? The one that is most prevalent, the one that we have believed the longest, the one that has been operating for the longest in our lives. So it might take a little while to build that deep inner sense of assurance, to build a deep inner knowing that everything is working out for me, and that there are enough resources and connections and opportunities, that there is enough money and there is enough of this and there is enough of that for me to have my dream. Because what I believe is, well, you wouldn't really be here if you were trying to rip things apart and break things down. So I have to believe, and I trust, and I bring a deep sense of assurance that your dream is aligned with these ideas of creating more goodness, more love, more compassion in the world. And so we loose that vision, we cast that vision into the universal law, and rest and let the law do what the law does. Say yes. We cast that vision again and again and again and again. There are so many things in the science of mind practitioner training that I love. One of those is the concept of to pray unceasingly. And that means we are consistently reminding ourselves that we're consistently putting into the collective consciousness of the universe what it is we desire. And not just, I want this, or wouldn't this be nice, but to use the technology of science of mind, to use the technology, the practices of prayer treatment, whether that's a 3-step, a 5-step, a 7-step, a 12-step, a 1-step, a 0-step, whatever, however it is, but we follow a concept that gets us clear about who we are and what we're doing here on the planet and what it is that we desire, and we make that truth known. And then we release it into the universe and let it and witness the demonstration. And so today I'm going to end with a spiritual mind treatment. We're going to wrap this up. And so if you're in a comfortable place to close your eyes, I invite you to please do so. As I sink into a recognition of our oneness, each one a unique individual, each one a unique expression of the one life, the life I call God's life, the life that is known as Buddha or Brahma or Yahweh or Vishnu or Kuan Yin, Source Energy, Divine Mother, Father Time, no matter the name or the icon we assign it, the oneness is just that, the oneness. It is God, it is everything, it is everywhere, and it is expressing itself as your life perfectly. Expressing itself as your life, whole, complete, nothing missing, nothing absent. Any thought to the contrary, we cast aside. Any thought that says, "Oh, but wait, cast that aside." Be in that place where we recognize our wholeness, where we affirm the truth of who we have come here to be, divine expressions of God's life, of the one life. That we have come here to bring forth a vision of health and well-being, of order and beauty and truth and abundance, of unlimited prosperity, of sacred community, of all that it is. Stay into this law, cast into the law the vision of who you have come here to be, of who you know you are here to be, with limit, without restriction, without any concern for how or why or when or where the money comes from or who's got the this or what. Trust. Drop into that place of absolute trust that the divine is on the job, that the universal law has already said yes to this prayer and is already bringing forth the right people, the right resources, the right connections, the right opportunities, the right everything to make this vision true. Cast your vision into the law, the universal law of life, with a great sense of gratitude, with a great sense of assurance that the law cannot deny your prayer, that the law cannot deny your word, that the law must fulfill your word. So we bring a word filled with love. We bring a word filled with vision. We bring a word filled with truth and claim that as ours, as yours, as mine, as a revelation of the oneness into life. That's how it's going. So I lift up every vision. I lift up to each a recognition that this is the nature of our being. To act as conduits of a great vision and cast that prayer into the law that must demonstrate, that must operate upon this word, and again, in fact, is already doing so. We get ourselves out of the way, take the bloated nothingness out of the divine circuits, open up and allow for the truth to reveal itself, letting go of my human thoughts and conditions, letting go of any sense of human limitations, to witness the absolute majesty, the miracle that is God's life expressing itself right now. And I call that good. And I let it be. And we affirm this truth by simply saying, and so it is. So it is. Thank you, dear ones, for being with me here this morning. I appreciate you being a part of what we're doing here on the New Thought Media Network. If you enjoy our programming, please consider dropping a donation in the plate as it goes around. Head on over to the website ntmedia.org, click on the donate button, and we'd invite you to make it a monthly donation as well. We'll be back again tomorrow, next week with more. And next week we will start. I forget who's on the schedule for next week. But let's jump back in here. And where are we? We are going to start on chapter 8, which is the power of thought. Also, this is yes, chapter 8, The Power of Thought, starts on page 137. We'll be talking about that next week as well. Thank you all for being here. I'm Dr. Robert. I'm going to get out of here for now. However, again, we invite you to stay with us. Check out our archives over on YouTube. All of our programming is playlisted, and there's all kinds of great things you can watch. We'll be back. Saturdays are kind of the day off around here, by the way. So we'll be back later this afternoon or this evening with our closing prayers and gearing up for tomorrow, all day Sunday. Lots and lots of programming on Sunday. Again, I'm out of here for now. I love you. I think you're amazing. I so look forward to seeing you again soon. Until then, let me wish you peace and richest blessings. Bye now.